Max Payne is a man with nothing to lose in the violent, cold urban night. A fugitive undercover cop framed for murder and now hunted by cops and the mob. Max is a man with his back against the wall, fighting a battle he cannot hope to win. And I've decided to make it even harder by only using arguably the worst weapon in the game, the pistol, or Beretta as the game calls it. This starting weapon is very quickly outclassed by the arsenal of other weapons Max picks up throughout his adventure, such as Uzis, machine guns, shotguns, explosives, a sniper rifle, a grenade launcher. All in all, a veritable feast of fun toys that any normal player would use to fight their way through 22 chapters over the 3 acts. The game actually encourages this by having a very steep difficulty curve, which if anything it's almost notorious for, like many games back in the early 2000s when developers didn't care about your feelings.
Gonna cry?
The game also features a very well implemented bullet time mechanic, no doubt inspired by 1999's The Matrix.
Whoa.
And I will be using it to its fullest effect, as frankly without it I don't think this challenge is possible. Now I was prepared to die a lot in this challenge, but my expectation versus the reality was simply mind-blowing. If you thought my Deus Ex Human Revolution video's 164 deaths was bad, then you ain't seen nothing yet. So without further ado, join me as we slow-mo dive our way to find out, can you beat Max Payne with only a pistol? Whilst the excellent opening cutscene plays, I'll explain the rules. I can only kill enemies with the pistol. Again, I know it's called a Beretta, but I'm going to refer to it as a pistol from this point on. There is an exception to this later when Max loses all his weapons, barring a baseball bat, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Bullet time is also allowed and likely essential to completion, which is good because even in a game that's 23 years old, it still looks badass. The game starts in Max's house, and for a few seconds it tricks me into thinking Max has already lost half his health before we've even begun playing. Once I'm in control, however, it goes back to normal, so I admire some graffiti and answer the phone. Huzzah! This wonky pear painting really drills home that something is wrong, so I make my way upstairs and into this. I kill my first 2 enemies with the pistol, which, fair warning, will become something of a trend this video, before stumbling across the remains of Max's baby daughter. Shortly after that, I find his wife much in the same way, causing Max to say, "No!" Oh no! It's a few years later and Max is understandably emo now, and it's time to find our buddy Alex. Pretty soon it becomes clear that something wicked is afoot, so Max unholsters the eponymous pistol, uses the loo and washes his hands. I show off the cool gunplay, pick up a shotgun I will never use, and buy a couple of sodas. Max Payne is one of those games that rewards you for poking about, usually with ammo and painkillers, but occasionally weapons too, not that they're any use to me. I save this red-lipped guard who'll help me get into the control room under the proviso he doesn't die immediately afterwards.
This way.
Look out!
Oh, damn. I managed to survive my first real firefight, grab some drugs, and push a button. Max busts through a barrier in the most subtle way possible, and that's chapter 1 complete. I take my first death here, which again will be something of a reoccurrence, but manage to get through next time round. I somehow completely accidentally stumble across a bank robbery in progress, so decide it would be fun to mess that up, and might I say look pretty cool whilst doing so. I grab the detonator I need to progress, defeat these enemies despite them having a tactical advantage,
I have the high ground!
and blow up a door. I find Alex, who is then promptly killed in one shot, which is annoying considering it's taking me several bullets to down enemies, so take out my frustration on this vending machine. I had little time to enjoy this enemy being killed by friendly fire before I'm blasted back to the afterlife to join Alex. This death sets me back quite a lot, and I die 7 more times before getting back to where I was before. Eventually I do, however, and... never mind. Finally out of the subway and into the cold night, and that's chapter 2, done and dusted. The graphic novel progresses the narrative a bit, and I think it's a really nifty means of storytelling. But one thing is clear, however, we're about to fight the hardest bosses in the entire game, the Finito brothers. Oh, well that was easy. I survive the ensuing ambush, use the loo again, and make a sex bed vibrate.
Yeah, boy.
I spare myself a firefight with 3 baddies who can be avoided, grab some extra ammo from this crate, and no, using the pipe to bust open the boxes isn't against the rules, it just saves ammo, and turn on more sex beds. I kill these bottlenecked baddies, kill a junkie, and spray this downed baddie with foam. I quite literally explode my way through the hotel, read a hooker's diary before taking the lift down into chapter 4. Out of the elevator, and I'm immediately distracted by this washing machine.
What are you doing, step bro?
Which could have landed me with another death. I go to town on some boxes, nearly get one shot, and violently disturb a business meeting. I grab the key I need to unlock the door that squares me up against the hardest boss in the entire game, Rico Morte. This was the first real boss where I started to feel at a major disadvantage. Rico has a stupid amount of health as well as other baddies to deal with, all in a pretty close quarters arena with no cover. It takes me 6 attempts before I finally beat him, but not before this impressive display of backwards rolling. God, this was the second boss of the game. Oh, we are in trouble. I tried to earn some extra cash with this fruit machine, failed, so fall into an ambush instead. You okay there, mate? Chapter 4 done, and it's time to hit the mean streets of New York City. Well, that's convenient. I slow-mo dive into the basement of this building, get a zoom in on a guy who looks a bit like me with hair, and die. Twice. I take a call from One-Eyed Woden, who becomes more integral to the plot later, and get one-shotted by the police. So much for taking me alive.
What is the charge?
The thing about this game and healing is, it's not instantaneous, it's HP over time, which means firefights have to be carefully executed as you can't just spam painkillers to instantly heal, as seen here. Chapter 6 now, and after committing mass murder, I find a hobo who's willing to help me on the proviso he doesn't double-cross me a second later.
It's a trap! It's pain!
Oh, god damn it. I top up my painkillers, take the lift up a few floors, and pause all the murder, death, kill to watch a show about a flamingo.
I'm hiding in the shadows, watching it all unfold. The flamingo speaks.
These 2 boys blow themselves up, which creates a convenient way round a locked door, and I finally make it to the office of Vinnie Gognitti.
Oh my god! Oh god, you shot me! Ah!
The chaos which ensues makes quick work of me, and the awkward spawning of the enemies costs me 3 more deaths. With that done, it's time to chase Gognitti across some rooftops, which is an impressive feat given he's been shot in the stomach. Eventually we have to follow him by jumping onto a passing train, but I lose 5 lives trying to do just that. Turns out you're meant to simply fall onto it without jumping. Yeah, thanks game. Chapter 7 begins, and Jesus, how much blood does this guy have? More rooftop parkour to follow, as well as a conversation with a helicopter and a staircase firefight. It's worth mentioning that enemies are now being equipped with more and more deadly weapons, such as the dreaded dual Ingrams, or Uzis as I like to call them, which can deplete Max's health in seconds.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Gognitti is still running scared, but I'm hot on his trail until... yeah. Oh, for God's sake. Who is throwing this grenade? I die a further 2 times before eventually making it through to the third and hardest boss in the entire game, Vinnie Gognitti.
Oh, nice shooting, Tex.
We have a larger arena to play with this time, but a few additional goons to deal with, along with Vinnie himself. On my third go of it, I managed to corner Gognitti, only to be defeated by attrition, running out of ammo. Oh.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't.
On my 6th attempt, however, I managed to keep hold of enough extra bullets to put him down once and for all. Chapter 8 starts with me low on health, low on ammo, and certainly low on sanity, so what better way to mitigate all those points than by cranking up the difficulty? The game keeps trying to be helpful by giving me guns I can't use, so it punishes my stubbornness with death. I managed to clear this arena and grab some more ammo, which doesn't last long, then take a breather from all the murder by dancing? It probably goes without saying that I die a lot as I work my way through the club, but the game is sprinkling just enough pistol ammo and painkillers to see me through. After some extreme trial and error, I make it to the upper floors, put on this underwhelming display, and get my face blown off. Reloading, I survive the firefight, loot some more ammo and painkillers, and start to feel a bit more confident about my chances. Of course, if I knew then what I know now...
You'll die! You'll die!
Ammo is so scarce that after I get ambushed from the floor below, I actually go back down to pick up the extra clip. I get this sick cinematic kill, stamp on a guitar, then push a button. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Oh, for God's sake! Chapter 9 starts with this unnerving shot of this satanic cult's paraphernalia, and a well-known YouTube creator gets name-dropped years before he was famous.
I'm Mr. Beast.
Add that to the Max Payne iceberg. I enter this large room, loot everything on sale, and begin phase 1 of the hardest boss in the entire game, Jack Lupino. Before even fighting the man himself, you have to survive an ambush from his followers, and all the while my health, painkillers and ammo are dwindling. Now it's time to fight Lupino himself, and oh my dear lord, was this my first real insight to how challenging this challenge was going to be. I am basically one shot by Lupino, and he has another 2 goons packing heat I have to deal with too, all with low ammo. After a staggering 27 attempts, I manage a decent run where I take out the goons with decent health and ammo left, so risk a mid-fight quick save to see if a 1v1 on repeat like some twisted Groundhog Day would eventually be Lupino's undoing. And surprisingly, after just one more death, this happens.
Lupino finally went down. I wanted to make real sure he'd stay that way.
Act 2 starts with Max getting roofied by Moda, sending us to the first of the game's nightmare sequences. As this features no real gunplay and was no more difficult than it would be on a standard playthrough, I'm just gonna move on to the next chapter. Don't pretend you're disappointed.
I can't believe you've done this.
Chapter 10 sees Max stripped of all his weapons with the exception of a baseball bat, and this is where we enter potential challenge fail territory, as a bat, wouldn't you know it, is not a pistol. Initially, I decided it would be acceptable given it's a forced state the game puts us in. However, after reviewing the footage, I realised that all Max's confiscated goods are off in a room to the side. So, if I could get to that room with my pistol, I would not have to accept this section as a technical fail by allowing a few kills via bat. Excuse me while I boot up my laptop to record the following footage. After solid snaking as much as I can, I'm able to grab some ammo, my pistol, and take partial cover behind this box. Coupling this with bullet time and the narrow entrance, I am able to kill off all the enemies as they enter, meaning this section can be completed as per the rules. Sweet. I'm glad there won't be any other run-ending conditions later on. With that done, I head back to the hotel from earlier, quench Max's thirst, and do some eavesdropping. My 100th death is this humiliation at the hands of this guy dropping a log, followed swiftly by this death after confronting the hardest boss in the entire game, Frankie Niagara. Almost identical to the Rico Morte fight, only with more aggressive goons to boot. I die 5 times trying to beat him, but his death teaches me about a very mild stunlock effect shooting enemies in the head in this particular rhythm produces. This will be useful later on.
Wipe yourself off, man. You dead.
Okay, let's go.
Chapter 11 officially marks the halfway point of the game, more or less, and Max is recruited by Vladimir Lem to take out Boris Dime so we can appropriate his ship full of guns. All I need is the pistol, however, so off to the docks we go. I cause a ruckus in this warehouse, blow this dude up, and play with a crane. I'll be honest for brevity's sake and say this chapter was actually pretty okay. There were plenty of painkillers and the game was still being generous enough with pistol ammo for that not to ever become a real issue. Online later. Dare I say I was actually having fun at this point and really quite enjoying the challenge, probably because the gun fu bullet time is just so much fun to play with. I find a secret room, but the only worthwhile pickup is some painkillers, and heading through this door marks the end of the chapter. Next is a warehouse firefight in which my first attempt ends, well, second go round and this happens. I find some more ammo and spot this baddie moonwalking. Now I get to control this storage container mover thingy whilst battling an onslaught of baddies, and the pistol's poor range really comes into its own here. The game desperately wants me to use the sniper rifle, but sadly no can do for this run. Trying to sneak up on the watchtower enemies is impossible given how loud this thing is. But after 5 deaths, I finally make it to the next warehouse. I hit the button which clears the way for me to get to the boat, and Max opens the door in the most Sigma way possible. I fight my way to the deck of the boat, test a theory about Max being able to swim, and make it to the bridge after only 3 deaths.
I'm the captain now.
I have a huge advantage making my way into the belly of the ship as the angles favour my gun arm, and I have the high ground! Eventually we make it to the hardest boss in the entire game, Boris Dime, who is introduced in this slow-mo fashion. He chases me up the stairs but then gets stuck on the level geometry, allowing for me to riddle him with bullets until he's dead. Just as I'm about to celebrate my victory and end the chapter, I forget about the goons in the hold who promptly undo my progress. 4 attempts later and I'm finally standing over Dime's corpse again and gingerly make my way back to the hold and to the end of the chapter. Chapter 13 starts with a puzzle consisting of Max running through a burning Italian restaurant and me using trial and error to not get burned to a crisp. Oh, for God's sake! 4 deaths later and I make it to the kitchen and it's back to our regularly scheduled program of gun fu. Every video game needs a sewer level and Max Payne is no different. And with that, that's the end of the chapter. Nice and easy. The 14th chapter, for me, was a real turning point. It was the first time during the whole run where I had to take a break because I really thought I could not progress. I start in the basement of Punchinello's mansion, tasked with killing his 3 head honchos before confronting the man himself. Fighting my way through the basement is, again, trial and error, with a few deaths sprinkled in. I make it to the first sub-boss who blasts me straight back through the door I walked in through. There's 3 of them behind an overturned table, and the adjoining door keeps closing, meaning I have to partially enter the room to open the door, pop off a few shots, and not get killed in the process. First time I beat them, I'm immediately shot in the back and die. 7 attempts later, and I finally beat them again, but then I get shot by the same guy as before, but in the front this time. God. 3rd time's the charm, however, and I finally down the boss and subsequent spawn camping goons after 11 total attempts. Oh, but it's about to get even worse.
You serious?
Now we reach the bit. This is the part where I truly struggled beyond all reasonable comprehension. I am low on health, ammo and bullet time, and it's time to face the hardest sub-boss in the entire game. This guy. The room features 2 other baddies, one sporting pistols, the ammo of which I very much covet, and another with a shotgun. To make matters worse, we have the same swingy door problem from before, only this time I can't really get a good angle on those inside. The boss himself has dual Uzis, and no matter what I tried, I could not coax them out of the room either. I didn't try again for 26 days, partly because I was furiously reading about tactics, exploits or secrets online, and because I went on holiday to Cornwall. But on attempt number 20, which actually seems a lot less than when I was actually trying this, it finally happened. We're not out of the woods yet though, we still have Sub-Boss 3 to take care of, and then some. After being blown up a few times, I managed to stock up on more ammo and painkillers before relaxing in the tub. The final sub-boss is similar to the first, insofar as my sightline into the room and the enemy numbers within. The sub-boss himself has no qualms coming out to boomstick me however, but I only die 5 times before succeeding. The final part in this terrible chapter is surviving an ambush by 3 shooted baddies in very close quarters, Punchinello's office. After my first 3 failed attempts, I actually load an earlier save to try and keep more health, painkillers, for as much of an advantage as I could get. What made this entire firefight difficult was my low ammo, low bullet time, and propensity to be killed within 1 or 2 hits. Couple this with the increased health of the shooted dudes, and it all makes for a nasty cocktail of failure I was being forced to drink. However, after 22 failed attempts, on my next go the stars finally align, and this happens. I honestly felt like John McClane at the end of Die Hard, killing the final baddie with my last bullet. With that minor inconvenience of a chapter now complete, it's time to go on another bad trip to Nightmare Town. I don't know why Nicole Horn didn't just have Max killed instead of giving him more Valkyria, but either way he's in another nightmare sequence in which he learns the truth.
You're in a computer game, Max.
After completing the previous nightmare sequence without dying at all, Max is stripped of all his weapons, except his pistol with fresh ammo, ready for the start of Act 3, Chapter 15. We're in the final stretch now, boys. Wait, how much footage have I got left to go through? Oh Jesus. Max is at a factory called Cold Steel, the only lead he got from Horn before taking his Valkyrie trip. After busting in through the skylight, I take my 215th death trying to loot a box, admire this pretty lady, and play Ring Around the Rosie. I am once again low on ammo, making this next section absolutely awful. My only means of survival is to find more ammo without dying, so after scoping out the next room, and dying lots in the process, I simply make a run for it. I managed to find a box of pistol ammo which finally puts me back into the game, and better yet some painkillers in the lava room. A depressing amount of attempts later, I finally make some forward momentum, low on health and ammo again, but hey, that's just how it's going to be from now on. It takes me even more deaths to learn the enemy placement in this red room, but perseverance wins out again, despite the game giving me ammo for every weapon except the pistol. It gets so bad in fact, I once again have to load an older save to see if I can get back to the same point in a better condition ammo-wise, which thankfully, given my advanced knowledge of the future, I do. Finally surmounting this corridor, I get some extra painkillers and walk headfirst into exactly the same problem again. Too many baddies, not enough ammo. As a test, I scope ahead to see when and where the next box of pistol ammo was, and fortunately there was some nearby. All I had to do was get past 4 goons with 11 bullets and practically no health first. And after many attempts, this finally happens. I died almost 80 times in that chapter alone. Chapter 16 starts with another box of ammo and some painkillers mercifully, but still with the difficulty knob turned all the way up. Who doesn't love insta-death fire traps and explosives? I make it to the next nook with some more ammo and painkillers, not without experiencing my 300th death along the way mind you, and succeed in fighting my way to the next plot-related lever.
Hello there.
Pressing deeper into the facility, I smash through this barrier, blow up, and unnecessarily dive headfirst into this box. Surely this chapter's almost...
Oh my god!
Navigating the fire and lava room is not as bad as it first seems, however, and before long I'm on the other side of it. I kill a baddie at point blank range and wind up in another red room with multiple enemies and dwindling ammo. After a couple of reloads, I find myself in a bit of a death loop with the remaining enemy on this catwalk above. I need to get across, but there's a button that needs pushing first to extend a bridge, otherwise I get a spicy death. First time I succeed, I have no ammo remaining, not realising there are 3 final enemies waiting for me just after the next door. Shortly after though, I manage to make it with only minimal health loss and near enough a full clip, so shoot the last few enemies and descend into chapter 17. Despite only having 4 bullets left, the first 2 enemies down here are both carrying pistols, so after some gun fu, I'm able to somewhat resupply. I'm able to take out 3 more goons with a well-placed explosive canister and some headshots, saving as much of the pistol ammo as I can. There aren't many other enemies in this chapter, again it's one of those more puzzly parkour levels, so after grabbing the pin number I need to progress, I grab some painkillers and descend to the cells. I free this scientist who then gets me through the airlock on the proviso he isn't immediately killed afterwards. I enter this Mission Impossible-esque room full of lasers, succeeding reaching the next elevator without blowing up, and get stuck in the airlock. I die here a few times as I can't figure out how to escape, and when I do finally figure it out, end up getting killed by the solution. Eventually though, I do escape in this explosive fashion, and that's the end of chapter 17. Chapter 18 is another enemy gauntlet as we chase down a baddie whose name went on to inspire a character in 2022's Death Stranding, BB. I start the chapter with 8 bullets, meaning if I don't find some pistol ammo fast, I'm going to have a bad time. There is a pistol-wielding enemy on the next floor down, but as I share the rooftop with 4 other baddies, getting to him without dying and then succeeding in killing him for his ammo is complicated. Eventually, after much trial and error, I succeed by luring away the rooftop enemies, followed by this. 32 deaths that took. Mercifully, there are more pistol-wielding enemies as well as some painkillers, so I'm starting to be in a better position again. The remainder of this level is mostly getting through firefights in as few bullets as possible, with as much health and painkillers remaining as I can muster. I use the pillars and bullet time to my advantage, as well as the odd cheeky quick save, and watch this fleeing burning van crash and take out 2 goons with it. Just as I'm low on ammo again, here comes a dude with dual pistols. Yes, BB crashes and exits the burning wreck, and now all I have to do is fight my way to him. You know what that means. With the remaining baddies dealt with, it's time to buckle up and face the hardest boss in the entire game. It's BB, obviously. I decide to hide in this container which protects me from the 2 grenades he throws and simply pump what remaining bullets I have into BB's face. Only problem is, I don't have enough ammo. Whilst he does take some splash damage from the grenade, even if they both hit for max damage, I simply do not have enough bullets on top of which to kill him. If 2 grenades and 17 headshots won't do it, I simply don't know what will. However, as I neared defeat, I was doing some last-ditch attempt testing when this happened. Through the combination of the grenade and explosive barrel, BB killed himself and I didn't have to fire a shot. All I had to do now was replicate this without being caught in the explosion too. And a surprising 4 attempts later, it finally happens. Not sure what that hand gesture's all about though. Wake up! I answer the payphone, which transports me to Chapter 19. Alfred Woden takes us to a fancy building, tells Max to kill Nicole Horn as if he needed any more reason to, who abruptly ends the meeting by diving out of a window. For some odd reason, the enemies here seem to die quicker than usual, and I don't know if it's the game feeling sorry for me since my first death in this chapter was my 405th death overall, but that's just about all I have going for me now. What I mean is, this is the part where the ammo situation finally does what it's been threatening to do all game. It runs out. After picking up the one and only pistol ammo in this entire chapter, I reach a point where the volume of enemies outnumber my remaining bullets. Even reloading and trying to be as conservative and accurate as possible would not leave me with enough ammo to complete this chapter, let alone the next one. As a test, I briefly paused the challenge to run on ahead with the other weapons, killing everything as I go, to see if there was some pistol ammo stashed somewhere or even a pistol wielding enemy I could kill. But there's not. I cannot reach the end of this chapter alive with the remaining ammo I have. It just isn't possible. At this point I make a decision. Since we have come this far and I was still dying, literally, to know if a person could beat Max Payne with only a pistol, I decided to cheat. Use the developer console to give myself a full stack of ammo, but at the cost of declaring the challenge a technical fail. Weighed down with the max amount of ammo I can carry, get it, I press on to the end of the chapter with little issue, given I was now overwhelmingly familiar with its enemy and trap placements. Chapter 20 is once again virgin territory, so I get started by blowing up some filing cabinets. After this awkward death animation, I grab some helpful painkillers and wash them down with a soda.
I am once again asking for your pistol ammo.
But bizarrely, the next two enemies both have pistols, so yay for me. There's even more pistol ammo just waiting to be plucked from these goons, and I'm starting to wish they had a few of these bad boys in the previous chapter. I fight my way through the big oval room with no real issues, which is ironic now considering how much I was struggling previously. I interrupt these two goons talking about James Bond, ruin a PowerPoint presentation, and spot this Egyptian monument getting wrecked. I survive the ambush with little difficulty given how the game has allowed me to master its most basic weapon, and all that's left to do is make my way to Asa Plaza for my final showdown with Nicole Horn, her legion of goons, and the end of the challenge. As you can imagine, the final two chapters are designed to test everything the player has to give, pitting their favourite weapons and gun fu style against a horde of the toughest enemies in the game. Sadly, all I have to give is 9mm bullets and a goofy hope that everything will work out in the end. I barely make it past the entrance without being gunned down again and again, and the first time I finally survive the first conceivable hurdle, this happens. Another death courtesy of the Bang Bros, and I'm back to square one. Eventually I make it to the stairwell in relatively good condition and treat myself to a cheeky quick save for the sake of actually being able to beat the game. It takes a good few attempts to clear this landing of baddies, as they are extremely aggressive and seem to love leaping about as much as I do. Suffice it to say, I beat them after a handful of tries and make it to this curious hallway of lasers. I wonder what'll happen if I touch... oh. Death. Just as I'm razor focused on not getting blown up, the game spawns a baddie to add bullets into the mix with the death lasers, and I take another cheap death.
God damn it!
I even die a second time, even though I was prepared for it. Third time's the charm, however, and...
Yes! 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 No! No! No!
It's out of the frying pan and into the fire though, as after a brief meeting with Mona, who gets shot in the head, I've now got another enemy gauntlet to survive, which I do like this. That done, it's time to face the ascending lift of doom, where I have to clear the shaft of explosives before I get, you guessed it, blown up. It doesn't go well. The next floor is a challenge with my dwindling ammo and health, and pushing the big yellow button to proceed opens up the shutters to a whole heap of trouble. I managed to survive on my first go, however, and make my way... Oh, for God's sake! Reloading, it takes me another 5 attempts before I'm back in the elevator, avoiding the helicopter gunfire, before making my way down to the mainframe. There's a couple of pistol-wielding enemies down here, which is about the only good thing about this bit.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
After finally surviving the destruction of the mainframe, I take this long elevator ride up with barely any ammo, and systematically pick off the baddies with what I have left. With 3 bullets remaining in the clip, I decide to pause the challenge once more to see if there's any more pistol ammo to be collected, but alas, there isn't. Since the challenge is already a technical fail, I decide to technically fail it again and give myself another stack of ammo. We've come too far to not see this through. Entering this lift transitions me to the final chapter of the game, Chapter 22. This arena, though spacious, has plenty of cover for me, and my hoard of ammo is enough to see me through. The helicopter is back to make a mess of things, but literally standing behind this pillar until it goes away is a perfectly legit strategy. Ascending higher still, the enemies are now hiding behind makeshift barricades in their attempts to stop me shooting them with arguably the least appropriate weapon for a one-man assault on an entire building. I make it to the floor just below the roof and my final showdown with Nicole Horn. I have managed to take out every enemy thus far with just the pistol, but that has left me once again with a deficit in ammunition. Knowing how the final boss section plays out, but not knowing if I can even do it with a pistol, leaves me with little choice. I give myself one final stack of pistol ammo and technically fail the challenge again. This is it. The final showdown with Nicole Horn. Not a traditional boss fight in any sense, more a puzzle to be solved with long-range weapons. Let me explain how to beat this boss. There are 2 cables supporting the radio mast. I have to shoot them to snap them and shoot the radio mast itself to, well, I won't spoil it. Problem is, will the pistol with its poor range and questionable accuracy be up to the challenge? It's very straightforward to shoot the first cable, as you can get right up close to it. Destroying one cable does 2 things. It triggers Horn to enter the helicopter, and it spawns about 4 baddies to deal with. Once Horn boards the copter, there is a timer of about 60 seconds to get the final cable snapped. Otherwise, she flies off to safety and you lose. My problem, as you can see here, is my pistol's range. It's just not hitting that final cable. I try and see if I can somehow get higher or jump around the wall, but sadly with no luck. Don't tell me we are going to fail at the last hurdle. After another death, I try a new method, shooting the trickier cable first, but through the bars of the gate, which is at least a little bit closer. And, to my utter surprise, now all I have to do is survive the last 4 enemies of the game and snap the final cable, which should be no issue given how close we can get to that one. I am killed a few times by the last few goons, especially since one has a grenade launcher which is basically a one-hit kill, but given how close I am, I've never been more in the zone. After a few attempts, I finally get lucky enough and take them out, and rush to the final cable to snap it with ease. All that's left to do is shoot the radio mast and hope the pistol is strong enough to topple it. after 470 deaths, the masked falls, taking out Horn and fulfilling Max's journey of revenge. I think I must be one of the few people to watch this final cutscene with Max holding the pistol and not a sniper rifle, grenade launcher, or any other more suitable weapon. And so, there you have it. Can you beat Max Payne with only a pistol? Well, yes, but also technically no. I'll let you decide, guys. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this utterly bonkers journey back to the early 2000s. If you want to stay in touch for future videos, please consider subscribing, and if you want to have a chat, feel free to drop a comment and I will always get back to you. All that's left to say from me is, take care, guys, and I will see you in the next one.